What's going on, guys? It's your boy Rob Lee back here. We got another video, and today, once again, we're going to week 2 DraftKings recap and see how I did in my tournament. So yesterday I decided to play. I told y'all before. So for the most part, I'm playing tournaments and GPPs using a small amount of my bankroll, and hopefully we can bank a couple of these by the end of the year. But yesterday I decided to play some cash, because I will play cash if I feel like I have an edge one and it makes sense. Let me turn this light on because the natural light went away. Yeah, if it makes sense for me to play cash, if I feel like it's straightforward cash lineup, and I feel like I have an edge, I'm gonna play cash. So I played cash yesterday, banked really well. So we'll look into the cash lineup first. So I played a couple double ups and I played some head-to-heads. I won half of my head-to-heads, and I banked in. Let me see. In the double ups, I banked in 3 or 4 double ups. So this is pretty cool. So let's look at my cash lineup from yesterday. So these were the cash lineup. So for cash, it was pretty straightforward. So Devontae Adams, Saquon Barkley, the 71%. They just projected so well, even though Saquon kind of sucked yesterday, but they still projected really well. Derek Carr was the cash quarterback. Bengals defense, you had to get Bengals defense. There was no reason to play anything else. 80%, play him free slide. Greg Dortch was getting ownership too at 3.5. He didn't look good at first, but he definitely made up for it. So as I'm looking for other cash lineups, actually I think a lot of the cash players apparently lost. A lot of the big time cash players lost yesterday. So when it comes to cash, so for the most part, I want to play all the top plays. So Darrell Henderson was projecting well, Saquon Barkley, Devontae Adams for their salaries. Even Albert O. It was either going to be Albert O or Juwan Johnson. I decided to go with Albert O. I just felt like he had a better floor than Juwan Johnson. But that, for the most part, these 4, Derek Carr, Henderson, Barkley, Adams, and Dortch and Bengals. So I was like, all right, these are going to play. Then I went for 3 pivots. Amon-Ra St. Brown was one of my pivots. He's just been ridiculous. Like Amon-Ra St. Brown, his game splits have just been stupid. So 12 targets both games so far. Last week, just 64 yards, had a touchdown. And then this week, in the highest scoring game of the first games, was a 48-point total against Washington. Must play. He was projecting well, and the thing is, what's the funny is my optimizer kept pulling up Mike Evans for some reason. I was not going to play Mike Evans. They was going against the Saints. He does not play well against Marshawn Lattimore, and not to mention now we got to build in a ejection percentage possibility whenever he plays the Saints, because apparently that's on the table too, getting ejected. But anyway, couldn't play Mike Evans. I faded Mike Evans completely in all tournaments. But yeah, I felt great about Amon-Ra St. Brown, and actually he probably was the big reason why I won. I don't think a lot of people played St. Brown. Brandon Cooks was just another play. I like to pivot a little bit, want to get a little different, have a little bit of leverage, because a lot of times when I play cash and I play all the chalk stuff, I'll still end up being very low, and I'll be very low, and now if I'm behind and I got all the chalk, because a lot of people in cash will still play even though is Jalen Waddle the worst play? Is Cortland Sutton the worst play? No, but just based on their salary and their salary expectations, you don't want to take that risk in cash. In cash, you just want to beat half of the field. Like this lineup right here, what am I looking at? Is not a cash lineup. I think this is one of the top lineups. It's not a cash. This is the GPP lineup. He actually, Joe Burrow, Joe Mixon, he didn't even stay. This is a horrible lineup. In fact, this is a player I would want to like. If it was head to head, I would want to actually jot his name down, and try to find him in some more head to heads going forward. But anyway, I digress. He played Jamal Williams in the cash lineup. Yeah. So, but with cash, you don't want to take too much risk. He had Devin Duvernay in his lineup too. That's crazy. It's sick, yo. It's crazy. This is why, and I was thinking like too early on in the season, you're gonna have an edge against some of these folks that are playing Devin Duvernay and Jamal Williams in their cash lineups. Like the Ravens' third receiver and the backup running back for the Lions. That's sick. Anyway, there is still an edge in DraftKings DFS. But yeah, that's like I said. That's what I decided to do. I don't know why my lineup isn't showing up anymore. All right, there we go. Now Albert gave me a big fat 0, but when you play like this and you have most of the plays, like I mean, it doesn't matter. Barkley goes on or off. It doesn't matter if Darrell Henderson for the most part goes off or he does nothing. Doesn't matter. Devontae Adams doesn't matter. Derek Carr doesn't matter because you half of the field. It really, for the most part, is 2v2s. Maybe, in my opinion, it was 3v3, but I felt great about Amon-Ra St. Brown. He was popping up in my cash lineups anyway, though, too. I know I was getting some Mike Evans, but I was getting a lot of Amon-Ra. But anyway, cash was good this week. But let's move on. Let's get to the fun stuff. So, excuse me. Let's go to... so I'll play some Showdown. I got to stop playing Showdown. I do that a lot. But yeah, let's get to some of the fun stuff. So, NFL Screen Pass is the tournament that I decided to play, and let's just look into a couple of my lineups here. So, and my thought process in these lineups. So, in these lineups, I really attacked 3 games. It was going to be the so even though I play a lot of GBPs. I do tend to just play the highest score game, the highest score total game. I will play pieces of that game, but I will also try to get different. Like, so, for example, and you know, sometimes we're playing cash. If you play cash and you play GBPs, you kind of can play both sides. And cash, of course, hey, all right, I can win with the chalk if the chalk goes off, and I can still play the best plays. And GBP is like, okay, if that doesn't work, in cash it really don't matter. And if I win with it, I win with it. If I lose with it, I lose with it. But with GBPs, I can play the opposite side, so I can play both sides of the fence. And a lot of times with cash and GBPs, both can be right, because once again, in cash you're playing the high owned plays, and it really don't matter what they do in the game. So anyway, yeah, so this is one of my lineups. So in this lineup, instead of playing Greg Dortch, which was the highest owned, camera cut off, we're back. But yeah, here's my thought process basically for this lineup. So, Derek Carr. So I did Derek Carr, Devontae Adams, and in this lineup, I actually decided to stack the game a little bit, but I wasn't gonna play Greg Dortch because he was just so highly owned. Once again, 35% owned, just ridiculous. So yeah, I played Derek Carr, Devontae Adams, brought it back, and instead of playing Dortch, I played AJ Green. AJ Green gets red zone targets. He gets enough targets, and he can actually score a decent amount of points, and he's done that a couple of times last year. Only had 6.6, even at his salary wasn't terrible. Greg Dortch still got that. He scored a touchdown. He still had 15 points, but at the grand scheme of things, being that I didn't have anybody from the other 2 games, didn't matter. But I decided to focus on this game. So like I said, I played the highest total game, and then I played a lot of the Washington, Detroit. So in this lineup, Matt Stafford, Cooper Kupp, always gonna go there. I had Albert O. I played a lot of Albert O. Defenses, we'll get to defenses in a second, what I did for defenses. And I'll show you in this lineup real quick. So the chalk defense was the Bengals, as I showed you. 81% in cash. It was around 50% in GBPs. I never play the highest owned defense in a GPP under most circumstances. There may be some if I get the lineup and be a lot different, sure. But I feel like that's one of the easiest things to exploit the field with, is that they're so overconfident with defense, even if it's cheap. They don't consider anything else. My process with defense is, and a lot of people say, oh, defense is a free square or it's very random. I actually don't believe that. When I go through my player pool, I will delete defenses I already know that are defense going against Patrick Mahomes, going against Josh Allen. Sure, they can get a defensive touchdown. All of that is possible, but what's more likely is that those teams are going to put up 35 points and you're going to have a negative score on defense. My goal for defense is just not have a negative score and have it somewhere from 4 to 10. And if they go off for a touchdown, they score 16 to 30, that's great. But most of the time I see teams that win anywhere from 4 points to 10 points. That's really all you need from the defense. But I am going to give myself a chance to find that ceiling. And how do you find the ceiling? What gives you the best chance of a ceiling? So one of my processes is going to go against quarterbacks that throw the ball a lot. And they're a little inefficient. And then I also want to look at teams that have a great chance of sacking a quarterback. So this was actually a perfect situation of me picking the Cowboys, even though it didn't necessarily work out amazingly. My thought process with the Cowboys is that everyone's on the Bengals defense. Everyone's so overconfident about the Bengals. The Bengals are on the road in Dallas. And I just saw Micah Parsons on Monday Night Football sack Brady like 3 times in the red zone. And Cincinnati's offensive line is the worst offensive line of all time. And Joe Burrow is also coming off a game. He was sacked about 3 or 4 times against Pittsburgh. And he threw 4 interceptions. So my thought process is the Cowboys has a good defense. The Bengals have a horrible offensive line. The Cowboys have probably the best defensive player in the league right now, Micah Parsons. They have decent cornerbacks, and they have cornerbacks that if he's getting pressured and Joe Burrow is going to throw the ball, like, not that he's a bad quarterback, but he's very streaky, he can potentially throw an interception to Trayvon Diggs, who can take it to the house. All those factors came in, and I was like, and the Cowboys are going to be so low on because everyone's focused on the Bengals. The Cowboys was my number 1 defense this week. And I usually narrow it down to about 3. I'll find 3 nice little matchups and try to build around those defenses or see what pops up. But the Cowboys actually was my number 1 defense. I thought, like, even though they were 3,000, I was like, man, that's a very sharp play. So I played a lot of Cowboys defense. And this lineup, I also played the Steelers defense because this game, Mac Jones, Steelers coming off that game, and they're going against Mac Jones. The game's going to be a low total, and I played that. But this lineup right here, this is probably the best lineup I had. Of course, I was able. So I was, like I said, I was high on the Commanders and Lions game. And so I did a little mini stack here. No, the one mistake I did not make is just bringbacks. I don't do a lot of bringbacks. However, I probably could have played bringbacks in this game with Tua and the Ravens. I was thinking about Mark Andrews, but I was like, tight end is whatever. Tight end is almost a free square too, where it's like just pick whoever projects well. You can either, a lot of people say just either buy up or buy low. I thought Higbee was cool, so when I ran the projections, Higbee was showing up a lot. Wasn't that on? Know the Rams were gonna throw the ball a lot. But yeah, no, this game it worked out. This is one of my best lineups. I did cash and I was 25 a third of it was like only probably a $2,000, $3,000, 3,000 person. Oh no, there is 1,900 people in this contest. 2,000. Saquon and Henderson. So here's my process too. When it comes to running backs, just play the best projected running backs, and then try to get different elsewhere and try to find the ceilings because it's just easier to predict running back. It is not easy. I mean, and wide receivers is a little has a lot of variance. So anyway, I went with Tank by low to Tyreek Hill. I'm pretty sure I had Jalen Waddle in this lineup, but it really didn't matter at the end of the day. I had Cortland Sutton as the 4 o'clock. If I could swap, swap. Like I said, Steelers defense. Curtis Samuel and Amara St. Brown. Amara St. Brown was my #1 play this week. He kept showing up in projections. He's just a motherfucking monster, man. Amara St. Brown is just a beast. So, but that lineup did real well. Got me up there. I even cashed in one of the free contests. So what I do is the same lineups. I only build like 5 lineups for the slate. And the same lineups that I build, I put into the free contest. This is why. In the past, I've like, if there was a free contest, like, okay, free contest, let me just plug in some random players. And then it turns out that lineup is better than all the lineups I built, but because it's a free contest and the prize pool is so thin, even though I scored a bunch of points and that lineup would have won me the contest in my main contest, I just hated that feeling. So I just said this year I'm not doing that. If the lineups that I select, those are the lineups we're going to play in the free contest. And yeah, that's just how we're going to do that. Now, one more thing that I am implementing, and we're going to wrap this up real soon, is I'm going to go back to playing afternoon only. And this time around, I'm actually going to, for the afternoon only slates, and maybe sometimes for the early only slates, is actually, basically, do my process the same that I'm doing it for the main slate. So for years I will focus on the main slate, and then if I'm losing in the main slate or I want to get some more action in, I'll just get a random contest in the afternoon and then plug a random lineup in, and sometimes I will actually win. A couple times actually place first, second in afternoon contest, even though the lineups wasn't like built through a optimizer or any process. It was just a on hand, let me do a stack, maybe a bring back or whatever. This year, I'm like, well, maybe that's my edge. Maybe I just need to actually play these afternoon contests the way I would build any other, and build it that way and have that lineup ready. And that's my edge, I feel like, with afternoon, because a lot of time, I think a lot of people do the same thing I do, actually, when it comes to these afternoon contests. I feel like they just build a random lineup, throw it in there, no projections, no nothing, and I seem to cash a lot. So both of my lineups cash in the top. Let me see. So this one was 25th out of so top 10% in this lineup. So this lineup I had Kyler Murray. It also gives me extra exposure to players. So once again, Kyler Murray. I had a Kyler Murray lineup. Once again, I'm getting away from Greg Dortch, especially in afternoon, because even though he was like 35% in the main slate, but on the afternoon slate, when it's so condensed, he was like 50%. If I can find a lineup that may have had him, he was like 50, 60, 52%. He's not worth 52%, so that was a great leverage point. That's why it's actually easier on afternoon to figure out like the ridiculous chalk, and then I could play someone like AJ Green at 3.6%, or even T. Higgins was only 7.7%. Drake London was 12.5%. So I played this lineup. I had a little mini stack with Higbee and London, but it's not hard to stack in these afternoon or these small slates, just like tonight's slates. But once again, same logic. Just play the best running back. The running backs that are going to get the best value. All the running backs failed for the most part, except for Nick Chubb. I didn't have any Nick Chubb exposure this week, but I technically didn't need it. But yeah, that was my process on that one. Let me go to my next lineup, and then my other lineup. It was in a different contest. Let me go back real quick. History and yeah, the free week 2 exclusive free contest. I cashed in that, free to $40. Hey, I'll take it. I'm building this bankroll slowly but surely. So that was that one, and this was in a 3 max. I believe it's a different one. No, it's the same one. Same one. 1 second, guys. 1 second. I wish this thing would just go back to the screen that I was on. So this lineup right here, I'm pretty sure it was a Matt Stafford. Yeah, I had a Matt Stafford lineup here. Cordell Patterson, I'm playing him every week. I'm not results oriented no more. I don't care about this the game he had, but he's barely on, and I'm gonna play a lot. So this is my thought process. This actually a little. This lineup was mostly hand built in a way. When I did win my contests in the afternoons and in the past, it was so easy to identify a receiver that's going to have low ownership, well compared to all the ownership. Like the ownerships are very condensed in the afternoon. They're like double digits around this, but instead of playing Allen Robinson, everybody was on Allen Robinson, and I had Allen Robinson in other lineups too, so I was able to play both sides. Ben Stroranek is not the greatest receiver, but at 4.7 ownership and him being on the field a lot, he just needs to score. I mean, this 2 catches for 16 yards. If he scores a touchdown, I'm completely climbing up the leaderboard. Even just 1 touchdown, I'm climbing up the leaderboard for about half of where I'm at right now, at least. I get to around like 13 instead of this one. I placed 32 out of 49. So top 10% line up again. And yeah, you get to that top 10%, you only need one thing to go right to get you to the top 1%. And Schroeder could have been that guy, and Hayden Hurst wasn't getting no ownership either. I just don't understand that logic. The Bengals throw the ball a lot. Hayden Hurst is a great tight end. He's very athletic. I don't understand why people aren't on him, and he's very cheap. In fact, I should have played him more than I played Albert O, but that's neither here nor there. I had the Seahawks defense. Just felt like it was. I thought the Seahawks was actually going to make this game close. They got destroyed, even though Jimmy Garoppolo got into the game. And Josh Jacobs was low on and was cheap. So, but yeah, Matt Stafford had the Cordell Patterson bring back the double stack with Cooper Kupp and Stroranek. Not too bad. I only played 2 lineups. They both cashed in the top 10%. So I think I'm going to continue to do afternoon only slates. But anyway, guys, appreciate your time here. Hopefully one of these weeks we get first place, second place in one of these tournaments. I do feel like I will get a first place, second place tournament win. This was the first place lineup, so Jeff Wilson, Darrell Henderson. He didn't necessarily have a low own single digit other than the Cowboys defense, which was, once again, like I said, a sharp play. Just happened to get and Dortch actually probably held me back 52%. He actually hit Drake London and Cooper Kupp in the same lineup. Actually, just, if I'm playing more lineups, I'm definitely having a lineup like this. I just wasn't able to get to it in that one particular lineup. But anyway, guys, peace out. See you next time.